I've got around 15 years of experience in cybersecurity. I've spent some time in companies like Symantec, where I was a part of their security support team, supporting a product called as Semantic Endpoint Protection, where customers would have maybe 10,000 or 15,000 machines located all across the world. And I had to deploy the threat intelligence module on all of them, or investigate a virus outbreak in some of them, identify the virus, get the signature created, and push that across to every location. Later on in my previous organization where I was working, I was leading an entire cybersecurity team of around 40 people. And I was working there as a senior manager information security. And in that profile, I explored a lot about data security, data privacy. I explored a lot about investigations, vulnerability management. And which is why when I joined Great Learning, and we built this program called as the postgraduate program in cybersecurity in association with the University of Texas, Austin, at that time, working closely with the professors of UT Austin. This experience came into use when we defined a lot of projects, defined a lot of labs. So all of these things that you see in the curriculum, they have an origin somewhere in the professional world on the activities that are actually being done by a lot of people. Now, I love teaching security. Now, GDPR, what it does is it is enforcing that security on everyone who stores the data or is processing the data. That way, people have to ask the question whether, hey, I'm going to save data about you. Are you okay with that? But again, this is where we are starting with this entire concept about data security, where we start with data privacy versus protection. Okay. For example, let's say, before we get into data privacy, we need to understand something else, and that is called as private versus secret. What is it called? Private versus secret. Let's say everyone knows that I have a password for logging into my mailbox. However, they don't know what the password is. And that's why that password is private information, right? However, if people don't know that I have my own FTP server hidden away somewhere where I store a lot of documents, that is called as a secret. Private information is that kind of information where everyone knows that this information exists, but they don't know what it is. For example, let's say we had our friend Delisha just now. Now, Delisha has her first name, last name, she has got her address, she has got her, let's say, her personal information, social security number, passport number. All of these details about Delisha, we all know they exist. But do we know them? We don't know them, right? That is private information where we know it exists, but we don't know the actual value of it. That is private information. Now let's take it a little bit deeper. The data, which is actually quite private in nature, how are we going to protect that data? One way to protect that data is I'm going to take my passport, I'm going to keep it in a safe locker, and nobody is going to get access to it unless they have got a code to my locker. That is one way to protect that data. Second way to protect that data is maybe whenever I am being asked to share my passport details, I'm going to read them out. I will not send them an email or a picture. That way, no one can forward my picture of my passport to anyone else. That could be another way. So I am taking different kinds of measures to protect the data, right? That is data protection. So we have got data privacy and we have got data protection. And how are these both things related to each other? We will come to know about that when we go through the slides. All right. So let me go back to my slide deck again. We are looking at data privacy versus data protection. Data privacy, we are looking at, hey, who has got access to that data? Let's look at that data about let's say, the elections. Maybe the chief elections officer is the only person who has got direct access to the elections data, correct? However, in the data protection world, we will see what kind of tools and policies are we using to restrict the access. At that time, the IT administrator of the government organization is going to say, yeah, we are going to use an access implementation tool, maybe from Microsoft, and we will say only the chief election officer has access to this file. Not even the IT admin of the entire government has access to the election data. Only the chief election officer. That way, our access control is very well implemented, correct? So data privacy is identifying who has access to the data and how do we implement that? For that, we will have the data protection. So you set the goals with the privacy, you achieve those goals with the protection. We keep hearing about data breaches, right? We keep hearing about them all the time. We keep hearing that some website had a lot of its customer data being sold online. Somebody is selling access to their data at just $2 or $20. And at that time, you are thinking, hey, is it possible that my data is also present over there? Because let's just to take an example. Let's say, what is the most popular travel website that you are using? Like your favorite travel website. I'll give you mine. Mine is called makemytrip.com from India. So let's say I always use makemytrip.com to book my flights. All right. And now they have got some information on me, as in data about me, my wife, and my daughter. So when I see Make My Trip has just got a data breach and the data is out on the internet, I'm thinking, is the data about my family also out there? What kind of impact does it have on my life? Which is why I want to ensure that my data remains private. Maybe after that data breach, I want to just, I want to give up all access that Make My Trip has to my account. So would I be able to just pick up the call and give them a call and say, hey, Mr. Make My Trip, this is Aniket here. I would like you to delete whatever data you have on me on your records. I need you to delete it right now. In that case, what would be their answer? Would they be able to say, oh, Aniket, right? Let me just check that. Tuck, tuck, tuck. I'm going to search for that. And oh, that is your data, all of it. And I'm just going to delete that. In an ideal world, maybe that would be true. However, GDPR is the one that is helping us get closer to this ideal world where there is a right for privacy. There is a right to be forgotten. So you can tell the website, you can delete all the data that you have about me. And that may have its own genesis through the different kinds of data breaches. Consumers demanding control over their data, where earlier consumers did not know that they had a lot of rights. What kind of data types are we talking about here? We have got PII, or personally identifiable information. In some cases, PII is quite clear. In some cases, it is not. To give you an example, let's say there is a fellow called Aniket Amdekar in India. Okay, and my name is quite unique. So you would not find hundreds of Aniket Amdekars roaming around in India. But if you have somebody called John Matthew, if you search for John Matthew in any kind of a directory, I'm sure you will find hundreds of John Matthews, which means just knowing John Matthew is not enough for you to pinpoint that person individually, right? But if you know John Matthew, who lives on the 16th Street, and this is the social security number, now that is very specific information. That means it is a personally identifiable information, also called as PII. All right, I'm getting a few more questions in the chat, but I'll be coming to them after I complete this segment. So again, personal identity. What kind of information is out there which can help to create your identity? Is it commonly known? Because when it's like my personal name, my name, I have to give it to whichever location I give. If I go to a hotel and I'm trying to check in, I have to give my name. If I'm signing up for any kind of a e-commerce website, I have to give my name. So just having my name may not be enough. But if you have got my name and my social security number, that means now you can pinpoint me in an entire crowd. In the PII, what kind of data is highly regulated and what kind of data is least regulated is another question that we need to ask ourselves. Is there some kind of information which is circumstantial, where just having that information is not enough? And the reason I'm sharing this with all of you in this context here is that if you have the details of all of your customers, all right, now let's imagine if it's a hospital and that hospital has got the records of all the patients. So in that case, even if you just get the names of all the patients, that itself can be crucial information. And that's why healthcare related information may have its own sensitivity levels. But if it's a banking website and over there, you just get to know the names of the people who are holding an account, maybe that is not such a astounding piece of information, because having a bank account is no big deal. Everybody has a bank account. However, if you get the bank account and the account balance, now that is sensitive. That has to be private. Or should it be secret? What do you all think? My bank balance. Should it be private or should it be secret? A question to all of you. Let's ponder. I am waiting. Please put it into the chat. The amount of balance in my account. Should it be private or should it be secret? I'm getting one private, one secret. All right. Private more. It should be private. Very good. Be secret. Okay. Active balance secret. Private. Okay, cool. Thank you. Yes, clearly private is the majority. That is the right answer. Everybody knows that I have got some kind of balance. How much balance? No one knows. And that is private information. So PII, personally identifiable information. Within PII, you may have PII about your customers, about your students, about your shareholders, and you need to protect that. Then we have PHI, which stands for protected healthcare information, which is information about your medical info. Do you have insurance or no? If yes, what kind of information? Your dental history, your medical history, all of that is medical information. And that could be quite sensitive, right? Let's say if the same John Matthew is standing for election and his medical information gets leaked on the internet, and somebody will say, oh, look at him. He got treated for this disease in this year in this hospital. Oh, what kind of inference can I draw from this information now? Can I use it for my own purpose? Can I create some dirt about him because of this information that I have? So again, medical information can be used as a weapon if it falls into the wrong direction, into the wrong hands. That's why you have got HIPAA, which is more of a federal standard or a law here, where in the US, you have to follow the HIPAA compliance. And there are 18 different PHI identifiers. In fact, I think I had figured them out already earlier. So let me just share that specific screen with all of you, where we can go through the 18 identifiers of protected healthcare information. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again. Yeah, there we go. Okay, yes. So as I was saying, this is the University of Chicago, and in here they have published name, address, all elements like except dates related to an individual, telephone number, fax number, email ID, medical record number, social ID, social security number, health plan beneficiary number. This can be quite dangerous as well. Account number, if there's any specific website, IP address, finger or a voice print. So here, finger meaning the actual scan of your finger, which is quite a unique way to protect or yourself, right? Or even the voice print, photographic image, or any other characteristic that could uniquely identify an individual. Now you tell me, if someone's finger scan gets leaked, what can be a risk that may arise from that? Just try to think about it. If someone's fingerprint gets leaked on the internet, is there a risk possible from that information? Think about that. While you are thinking about it, let's go forward. Access to biometrics. Yes, yes, very good. Good one, Michael. ATM as well, very nice. These days, ATMs also have the fingerprint recognition, so that can be used. In fact, it can be used for accessing some government records as well. Offices, very good, yes. So again, having this kind of PHI information can be lethal as well. Then we have got PCI, which is payment card industry, where it's about credit cards. It's about doing an audit. If I want to accept credit cards, or rather, I want to accept payments using credit cards or debit cards or whichever card it is, I want to receive card-based payments on my website or on my service, then I have to be PCI compliant. That means I need to be able to ensure that I'm protecting the confidentiality, integrity, and the availability of the cardholder information so that I am getting audited year after year by an external auditor who comes in and says, yes, Aniket, you are doing a great job of security, and here is your compliance certificate. So PCI DSS. Now, DSS stands for Data Security Standard. If you are in the financial industry, that's the compliance standard that you are going to look at. And then there is some toxic information out there, which is proprietary information, like, let's say, Coke. What is the secret formula that they are using? If you get access to that and you can publish that on the internet, that is toxic information. Or competitive edge. Let's say that now New Year is coming and all of us are waiting for the Black Friday, the Cyber Monday, or Christmas deals, New Year deals, holiday sales. And while that's going to happen, how are these websites going to remain up and running? Even better, how is it that Walmart is able to offer you, let's say, 30% discount on an iPhone, whereas other companies are only able to offer 20% discount? That is competitive edge. That means you're trying to figure out, or you've got the information on how Walmart's discounting framework works. How do they negotiate with their vendors? So that is again competitive edge. Or an unqualified value. You have got some data, but you have no way of what is the value of that data. What does it mean to them, right? For someone, let's say, knowing the amount of CPU cores, how many CPUs are there on a web server, may mean nothing. But for a competitor, who is trying to launch a similar website, that would be something that they would be paying thousands of dollars to know what is the configuration, the ideal configuration for a good web server. So some kind of information don't have specific quantified value on top of them. It could be because of limitations of tools. It could be because of different kinds of companies. So all of these are possibilities. And that's why we have got PII, PHI, PCI, and then we have got the trade secrets. Now let's check. Look at this form on the screen. And let's do a quick learning check. What kind of sensitive data might be collected in this form? Yes, so Michael says card details, very good. Email, contact, very good. PCI, fantastic, fantastic. Personal information like address is there, very good. At the bottom, you will find there's an information about adding your credit card details. So again, you have got PII, or personally identifiable information, at the top of the form. And then you have got the PCI, which is the payment card information at the bottom of the form. So this form is going to be very sensitive form, don't you think? Yeah, CVV signature, correct. So which is why when you know that this form is loaded with so much of crucial information, you may not want people to mishandle this form. You may not want to hear that, oh, I'm so sorry, I was in a hurry and I forgot that form in a coffee shop. And now anyone in the world has access to that form, right? Which is where protection has to come in. And how are we going to protect that information? That is what you study as a part of data protection. Every organization will have so much of data, right? It may have the names of all the employees. It may have names of all the customers, names of all the shareholders, but not all data is as important as the other data, right? There's always a priority. So first, you identify the category of data. You would say that, hey, wherever you have PII, that data is sensitive. Wherever you have credit card information, very sensitive. Wherever we are storing our secret algorithm, super sensitive. Wherever we are storing the financial plan for our company, also very sensitive. So now we know what kind of data is important. We know what kind of data is of lower important, correct? So in a way, what we are doing is we are creating an inventory of our data. And based on that, we will create a category of data. And then we will use some tools of data security. And we will tell these tools, hey, you need to go and scan my entire network. Look for this data. Wherever you find this data, you add a tagline to that. And you come and tell me that, hey, Mr. Aniket, in California, we have found 5 servers that contain credit card information. In New York, we have found 1 server that contains information about financial planning. And in Mumbai, we have found 1 database that contains the information about all of our customers. And now I know where is my sensitive data. Now I'm going to identify how I'm going to protect this data. I can encrypt it. I can de-encode it. I can maybe hide that data. I can replace that data with some fake data, right? You may have seen something like this. Let me put something in the chat. Let's say ANI, right? What did I do here? I used something called as data masking. I intentionally hid some part of the data by replacing it with some other characters. So again, that's not encryption, although I can use encryption as well. That is called data masking. That's called data hiding, where even while storing the data, you don't need the entire data. You will find that credit card numbers, people will say they only need the last 4 digits of the card number, or maybe 5 digits. What happens to the rest of the data? It is masked. So you define how you are going to store the remaining data, and then you start implementing these things. What are the different compliance triggers you have? Maybe whenever you have any transaction happening where somebody is requesting for that data, that's a compliance trigger. Whenever you are trying to modify any kind of details, that's compliance trigger as well. So identify what are the compliance triggers? What are the different types of the data? What kind of information does it contain? Does it have photos, numbers, text? What is the context here? And in the end, who is the user? So all of this information will help you to put together a picture. Now, what I'm showing here is the privacy law around the world. We have got POPI, we have got e-privacy, GDPR. In India, there is a PII bill, or the Personal Data Protection Bill 2018. But recently, that bill was revoked by the government. Now they have introduced a revision to that bill, and it is open for discussion with the public right now. Now, this is where all of these different privacy laws exist. You have got privacy laws for the African countries, decentralized standards, deadlines to implement, and it's also about the economic effect. Now, did you know that failing to comply with these kind of laws may also result in a few things? Like recently, Facebook faced a fine of $887 million because of the issue about cookie consent, where they said that if I reject all the cookies, they will not track my information. And somewhere that was not completely true. And people were able to prove that. There's an entire support group which is created specifically for protecting the rights or privacy rights of individuals. That support group was able to file that class action lawsuit against Facebook and win it as well. Okay, there was a question, data privacy laws, please. Okay, so Olulade, you're going to get the information about this again, but just to share with you, we had different kinds of privacy laws. Yeah, so we have got GDPR, we've got the California law. There are laws that are there in Africa as well. And all you need to know is, what is the law of the land that you need to comply with. That way you can be better prepared for it. Either if you are doing an audit for someone else, if you are being audited, in whichever the case, what you know, you can protect.